So it snowed a few inches last night. I've got my little starts here. And the only one that is 2022 seed is the one that is germinating the best. This is my Toscana Italian kale. Just got a few popping up from the other ones. Got some little sugar snap peas popping up. But these guys are already getting a little bit leggy, a few of them, so I need to get these under lights. Okay, so I should probably get this Black Magic Italian kale under the lights. Got a few guys popping up here, and definitely the bok choy here, because some of them are already getting leggy. And only got a few of the red leaf lettuce coming up, and nothing from the green leaf yet. And I've got a few peas coming up, but I think I'm gonna still wait on these before I put them under lights. Got my 2 Italian kale and my 1 bok choy with the lids on top, kind of cracked a little bit because I'm afraid if they don't have the lids that the little plugs will just dry out too quickly. And I'm also afraid though that the lids on will, make them too hot underneath the lights, but we'll see how it goes. I watered them yesterday. I'm trying to not make them too dry, but not make them so wet that they rot. I'm leaving the curtain partially open, so I make sure that I have a little bit more airflow. I pulled out the 2 center lights. So I've just got the one in the back and the one here in the front. And I also pulled out the shield on either side here so that the light will come down. And hopefully we'll start seeing the temperature come down a little bit. It's a little bit cooler, 77.5. Okay, so I'm gonna try something different here. I've got 1 shelf, 2 shelves. This is the 3rd shelf down here at the bottom. So I removed the 2 center lights on this bottom shelf, and I'm gonna move these little soil blocks down here. So my concern is that if it's too warm, the seeds that are still germinating may not germinate. And so I'm just gonna see if it's any cooler down here. Okay, so I've got everything moved down to the bottom shelf here. Look what I just noticed. What a dork. I have these labels on the top of the plastic. Oh my gosh. I've got to pull these off because they're bound to be shading out my plants. What a dork. Okay, so I removed all of the labels from the tubs, and it is a little bit cooler down here, which is groovy. This whole video is going to be looking at pink lights. Whoa. A few hours later, and temperature's gone up a few degrees. I think these guys were leggy when they sprouted, but I think they're getting more leggy. Maybe it's because they had a label over them, but maybe I need to drop the lights. I wonder what that would do to the temperature. Lights are lower, and doop-de-doo. Temperature went up a couple of degrees. I decided to check on the temperature underneath the tub lid, and it doesn't seem to make it any warmer. Whoa. All right, so it snowed a couple of days ago, but now it's supposed to rain. And so I want to take this opportunity to get some snow onto the greenhouse beds, because in just a few days, I need to do some seeding in there. And I want to make sure that the soil is good and wet. I'm still seeing some dampness from the last time I got some snow on here, but I think it's a good idea just get another load on here. Okay, so I got this greenhouse done. So it already started to rain. Before I put snow on these beds, I'm gonna pull out this kale, which I had hoped would survive, but it is not. Okay, so now I got snow on this one too. Hopefully it all melts on time. This is a trick that Benny from Norway talked about, and I tried it last year and it really worked good. She actually puts the seeds in, then puts snow down and waits for it to melt. And then, you know, when it's warm enough for the snow to melt, then the seeds will germinate. But I found that it was kind of nicer just to put the snow down first to get the soil wet and then be able to kind of rake out the soil and seed then. So anyway, that's kind of what I want to do. So 1st of March, I should be seeding seeds. I've got quite a few sugar snap peas coming up, but a lot of them haven't yet. And no green onions yet, but that's to be expected. But my green Salanova lettuce, there's only just a couple just starting. And red Salanova lettuce, some are just coming up super leggy, but a bunch of them just aren't coming up at all. So yeah, lettuce is not going well. And taking a look at progress under the lights, we're sitting here at almost 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Look, it's warmer outside, almost 40 degrees and raining. So my kale is actually doing good. Both this one, the newer one, germinated first, but the Black Magic older seed is coming up pretty good. And with the lights lowered, it looks like the new stuff is not getting quite as leggy. And bok choy is doing all right. So the reason I have been doing all these little temperature tests and stuff is because last season in 2021, I had some starts and also some plants growing underneath the lights, and I was having some issues. Wasn't quite sure what it was. And at the very end of the season, I had transplanted some lettuces and some orach and some baby chard from the greenhouse into like trays that didn't have a lot of soil in them, but I just stuffed them underneath the lights, and they just did not do very well. And I happened to think, I wonder how warm it is in there. And I tested the highest shelf and it was 90 degrees. And I just thought, no wonder the soil's been drying out so quickly. And geez, what was that doing to my starts, you know, earlier in the season? And of course, at that time, you know, when I was testing the temperature, I was running all 3 of the lights, I believe, all 3 shelves with stuff. That's right, because I was doing lettuce, baby chard, orach, and it was just like an oven in there. So I was thinking, okay, I can't do this. And for starting in the season, like this coming season in 2022, mostly what I need this for is basil and cucumbers and getting those started before they go out in the greenhouse. And so if I have just one shelf running, it's no big deal, unless I have germination issues. Because if they don't germinate very well sitting out by the windows over there, then once I put them in something that's a little hotter, it might be too warm for them to germinate. Another issue that I've been kind of wondering about is my seed too old? And so I checked the seed, and of course, like I had talked about, my Italian kale, the Toscana, was bought new this year. It came up first. It did the best. My lettuce that I'm having a problem with, 2019 seed. And so, of course, I'm having problems with it. And I'm really kicking myself because I didn't need to use that old seed. I keep thinking, oh, this is just an experiment that I'm doing, you know, to start early. But I experimented last year. I know what I'm doing. I really want to have this work in the little spaces in the greenhouses that I have right now. And so I have all of this tons of new lettuce seed because I had to buy larger quantities because they didn't have the smaller quantities available. So I have tons and tons of lettuce seed. And what did I do? I take my old packets and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to use up this old seed. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart my red and green sweet crisp Salanova lettuces. I think the peas might be okay. You know, they're from 2020. So that shouldn't be a real problem. Maybe they're just being slow coming up. But yeah, and so I know that this lower light maybe is keeps the temperature a little bit lower. It doesn't seem like lowering and raising the lights really makes a huge difference in the temperature. I think it's definitely warmer up here. But what the other issue I'm having is, okay, say I only need one shelf to start cucumbers and basil or whatever. the other thing I'd like to grow in here is some dill and cilantro that I always have problems with bolting out in the garden or greenhouse. And also it'd be nice to have some early basil just growing or growing around year round. So I got my basil plant down here. It's been in the corner underneath a light and it's been doing just fine, you know. But look at this. If I put this plant in here, then the lights are right here. And so what I think I'm going to do is leave this lower shelf for starting, you know, the stuff that I'm doing early for the greenhouse, and then later the basil and cucumbers that I'll put out in the greenhouse. And take this shelf out here and drop these lights so that they go down, you know, low enough. Now I may not do that right away because I'm concerned that if I need 2 shelves to start stuff right now, like I don't know if I have enough room for everything, like the sugar snap peas and everything else and the lettuce that I got going right now on this one shelf. So I think what I'll do is I'll start stuff here and start stuff here. Yeah, and so then maybe that difference also with the lights being here and the lights being all the way down here, that maybe it won't be an oven in here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to go ahead and wait on, you know, just leave my little basil buddy over in the corner with his little aloe friend, and yeah, use this shelf and this shelf for starting stuff for the greenhouse right now. Unless somehow I can fit it all in there, which I don't think I can. Anyway, yeah, because that's the thing. I think with the dill and the cilantro and like the lettuces and chard that I was growing, that they just only have this really, not very deep, not very thick layer of soil that they were trying to grow in, and it was just drying out. So I do think that I need like really big tubs. Like this is a yogurt tub, and probably not the best advertisement for a vegan, but yeah, I had family visiting and they were eating yogurt, and these are really nice tubs. So, but yeah, I need something like a lot deeper for the plants to grow in, and then I can grow some cilantro, dill, more basil. It smells so nice inside the house year round. Yeah, and like lettuces and chard and stuff like that. So that's where I'm at right now. I'll go ahead and give updates as I'm going along with my little experiments here, my indoor nursery, my makeshift nursery that I'm dealing with as I'm trying to grow. Anyway, I did just do a little video presentation for the Southeast Alaska Farmers Summit, the little Zoom conference that we had today. And what I ended up doing instead of slides was just putting together, taking clips from all of my 2021 season, just putting it together in one whole video, a 30-minute video. So if you're interested in seeing that, I'm going to publish that video after this one. I think that's everything for the week. I'll see you guys next week. Next week, I should be sowing seeds directly into the greenhouse. We shall see. Falafelzebub has been doing a Vegudairy series, and I have been kind of following along. You know, how to make plant-based milks, butter, cheeses, yogurt. I forgot the step where you have to like cook down the cashew milk, and so I made like yogurt liquid, and I left it in the fridge for a while after leaving it out. It doesn't smell quite right. I'm gonna toss it out and start again.